In the evening we took a fast ride on the high-speed train Afrozib from Samarkand to ancient Bukhara. An hour and a half and the train is already arriving at the station Bukhara 1. According to the most widespread legend, Emir Abdullah, under pressure from influential clergy, did not allow Shaitan Arba to enter the holy city, but allowed the construction of a station 12 kilometers from his capital. Only 4 minutes separate the station from the palace of the Emir of Bukhara. In the distant 1895, Emir Said Abdullah Khan ordered to build this palace in the new Bukhara. There are legends that either the Emir wanted to have his own monastery in the Russian settlement, or he was preparing luxurious chambers for the visit of Emperor Nicholas II himself. The palace, like a strange flower, blossomed in a bizarre interweaving of Arabic motifs, with Baroque splendor, in empire grandeur and neo-Moorish sophistication. Its facade sparkles with the finest plaster carvings, made in the best traditions of Bukhara masters. With the advent of Soviet power, the palace changed owners, became the property of the people and turned into a palace of culture of railway workers. Now the palace is being prepared for restoration. According to plans, all work should be completed by 2025, and we move to the Samanid mausoleum. The Ismail Samani mausoleum fascinates with its mystery and beauty. For more than 10 centuries, it has remained silent, since the reign of the Samanid dynasty. As a result of excavations, it was found that the mausoleum was erected on the remains of an older building. The approximate time of construction of the mausoleum itself dates back to between 892 and 907. The masters achieved an artistic effect in architectural design, using combined masonry, arranging tile bricks in different ways. There is no similar decoration in any monument of world architecture. Throughout the day, depending on the direction of sunlight, the pattern on the walls of the mausoleum changes its ornament. It is especially unusual during moonlight. We move to the Imam al-Bukhari complex. The complex was built in 2001, with a donation from the residents of Bukhara. It is a building in the form of a crescent and sheets of an open book facing it. The cells decorating the book are made of bricks, each of which symbolizes the legend of the deeds of the Prophet Muhammad. Nearby is the Kashmirayab Mausoleum, one of the most mysterious buildings in Bukhara. Traditionally revered place, as well, the source according to legend arose by the will of the biblical Job Ayub. In the legend about Job, it is reported that in the place where he stopped, from the blow of the staff a spring gushed out of the ground. Its water was considered healing. Numerous pilgrims flocked to the source. It was believed that the water of the source cures skin diseases and even leprosy. Arriving at the citadel of Ark, we left the car in the parking lot and headed towards the sacred Kolyan. A wide road stretches along the complex, where rare merchants beckon tourists with colorful scatterings of souvenirs from their stalls. Moving along the ancient street of Haji Nurabad, we witnessed architectural excavations where scientists are trying to understand the forgotten pages of the city's history. From the heights, a fascinating panorama of the Pai Kolyan minaret, directed to the heights, and the exquisite buildings of the ancient complex opens up. Pai Kolyan is a majestic architectural complex. It consists of a minaret of a mosque and 2 madrasas. All objects of the Pai Kolyan complex appeared at different times. The minaret is an architectural monument of the 10th century, the mosque was built in the 15th century, and the madrasas were erected in the 15th and 20th centuries. In the literature about the site of the city they write that the name means at the foot of the great. The main architectural landmark of the Pai Kolyan complex is a huge minaret, 47-meter minaret, built in 1121. An interesting legend is associated with the Kolyan minaret. When Genghis Khan entered Bukhara, his goal was to raise the city and all the minarets to the ground. But there was a legend about the minaret that a curse would fall on the one who destroyed it and on all his descendants. When Genghis Khan himself approached its foot, he raised his head to look at the minaret as a whole, and his hat fell off. And Genghis Khan had to bend down to pick up his hat, after which he said, "This minaret made me bow to it twice, the first time it made me take off my hat in front of it, and the second time I bowed to pick it up. I have never bowed to anyone in my life, but this building is so majestic and graceful that it deserves a bow." And the minaret has stood as it has for almost 1,000 years. The Friday Mosque Masjid-i Kolyan is located nearby. Archaeological excavations have shown that before the appearance of the modern building, there were two other mosques in its place. The modern building was erected in the 15th century during the reign of Mirza Ugulbek. The mosque is the second largest and is second only to the Bibikhana Mosque in Samarkand. The territory of the Kolyan Mosque can accommodate up to 12,000 people at a time. Scenes from famous films were filmed on the territory of Poi Kolyan, the episode with the ransom of Gyan from the prisoner of the Chateau d'If, and the Soviet Indian film The Adventures of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Directly opposite the mosque is the building of the Miriarab Madrasa. The building was erected in the first quarter of the 15th century. The initiator of the construction work was the Prince of Yemen Said Abdullah Yamani, a spiritual authority of the past known as Emir Arab. He is buried here on the territory of the madrasa. Famous modern personalities: the chairman of the Council of Muftis of Russia Ravil Smo-Gilovich Gainuddin and the first president of the Chechen Republic Ahmed Abdulhamidovich Kadyrov, as well as the Mufti of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Azerbaijan studied in the madrasa. We return to the parking lot next to the Ark Fortress. This is an ancient citadel, the heart of Bukhara. Like a grey giant, the monumental fortress rises almost 20 m above the surrounding plain, keeping the breadth of centuries within its walls. The fortress, the oldest of Bukhara's architectural treasures. This is a living chronicle of the city whose centuries-old layers of ruined buildings formed a hill of time. In the old days, towering over Registan Square, Ark was not just a fortress, but a visible embodiment of the greatness of power and inaccessibility. On one of its walls, a huge leather whip Kamcha proudly flaunted, a symbol of rule in the Bukhara Emirate, and a sign of unlimited power. Legend has it that this whip belonged to Rustam himself, the legendary Iranian hero, whose fame thundered throughout Central Asia and was a symbol of his invincible strength. Then our path goes through the territory of covered bazaars in the historical center of Bukhara. The first of them is Toki Telpak Furishan. The name translates as the Dome of the Hat Traders. It was built in the 15th century, during the formal rule of Iskandar Khan from the Uzbek dynasty of Samanids. Around the bazaar there were warehouses, caravansarais, hotels, and merchant shops. It is always cool here, despite the street heat. The next market is Toki Zurgaran, the Dome of Jewelers. It was also built in the 15th century by the son of Iskandar Khan, Abdul Khan II. This is the largest market among several ancient covered bazaars of Bukhara, and the most complex in terms of construction and arrangement in the city. During the first few centuries of the bazaar's existence, it housed a large number of jewelry workshops and shops. The buildings that have survived around the bazaar are home to the descendants of the ancient owners of jewelry shops. We visited one of these houses. Our pure national. Here we have all this, mostly everything is made by hand. There are a lot of silver items here. Yes, my wife's house is here, it belonged to her grandfather. As Amber told you, this is where the jewelers' dome is located. Yes, this is where the jewelers worked, traded, and lived. My wife's grandfather was also a jeweler. All this was during the time of Emir Bukhara. The ancestors and he lived here. This is the house and the shop here. This is the house. If you look from this side, our kitchen is there. We rebuilt this house, my grandfather's house. We rebuilt it, restored it all, and now we live and work here. You could say that she is now engaged in the craft that her grandfather did.
Yes, you have a good place to work, close to tourists.
Yes, in the center here on this side you can say there is an oily place. In modern terms, there are scarves. They are made from mulberry silk, from real silk. They unwind this cocoon. Previously, they were sold in skeins. If you remember the silk winding skeins, we had a factory, they collected skeins. And these skeins were sold abroad to different countries, and now they have started to produce the material themselves. This is exactly the kind of silk, it is dense. This is also dense. This is also silk. So Bukhara is again famous for its crafts.
Listen, Uzbekistan used to be famous for picking cotton.
There was cotton and there was silkworm too.
But I was surprised that they said that you didn't have cotton processing factories.
There was only one cotton mill. And it worked in 3 shifts, 18,000 people worked per day. And the bulk of it, that's what they picked cotton for, was sent to Ivanovo.
Well, yes, there is one. We know. We visited it too, we were passing through there.
Yes, here they only released how his buyers. Ivanovo was called the city of brides.
That is, you sent cotton there and brought brides from there.
Yes, they exchanged and also received wood and metal in exchange. The next place we visited was the Lyabykals ensemble. This place is popular among visitors due to its convenient location near famous tourist sites, and the presence of several establishments where you can eat deliciously and get acquainted with the local culture. Not far from the grave of the preacher, next to the mosque are the ruins of an ancient bathhouse. Mentions of this bathhouse were found only in archival materials from 10 centuries, and in later sources, mentions of the bathhouse completely disappear. Therefore, its discovery was a very pleasant surprise for archaeologists. Majestic madrasas rise around. And in the very heart of the square is a monument to Khoja Nasreddin, a legendary character whose history is shrouded in mystery. Either he is a wise advisor to the Sultan, or a collective image woven from folk anecdotes and parables. In the Middle Ages, Lyabykals was a bustling trading area, and now this place attracts tourists with its atmosphere and numerous tea houses. Then our path lies outside the city. There is the last object of our journey, the country residence of the Emir of Bukhara. A palace like the stars and the moon. This is how the name of the residence is translated. The first stones were laid here in the 15th century, but time has not spared them. They have not survived to this day. What we see today is the splendor erected at the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries. The complex is built in the European style, but is divided into male and female parts. Inside, the premises are decorated in an Oriental style. The complex consists of 4 buildings: the first palace, which housed the emir's chambers, his reception rooms for waiting, a glazed veranda and a white hall. The emirs for legal wives and their children, as well as maids, lived here. The second bedchamber is a 2-story building intended for the 4 legal wives and numerous concubines of the emir. The third and fourth buildings are the summer terrace, connected to the minaret. Currently, the palace houses a museum of decorative and applied arts. The museum displays palace furniture, Chinese-Japanese porcelain of the 19th century, jewelry by famous Bukhara masters, gold-embroidered panels, and horse blankets, clothing of a Bukhara citizen, a collection of palace gold-embroidered clothing, belts, scarves, shoes, and household utensils. This is where our journey through Bukhara ends. Our path continues to Kyrgyzstan to Lake Isitkul.